somebody in my situation, if this would have happened 20 years ago, there was nobody there to turn to.
I've been here almost 11 years in USA, and this is the first time for me to know someone is fighting for my rights.
CAIR-Chicago is able to root itself within the context of resolving the problem that is ignorance that amounts to fear.
A plane is detained at the gate of the Minneapolis airport, and inside that plane, 6 Muslim scholars. They're taken into custody. They're questioned for hours.
This nation is at war with Islamic fascists who will use any means to destroy those of us who love freedom.
If there is a problem in terms of the image of Muslims, then part of the solution is to not just fix the image, but the reality of Muslims, because image is but a reflection of reality.
We stand for American values. I would like to believe that we as an organization today are protecting American values of justice.
To make sure that our constituents are aware of the issues that we are working on as a civil rights organization. That involves updating the website to create a web presence for our organization. And a big part of that also, a big part of our duties also revolve around sending alerts to the community.
One of the things that I noticed when I first started working with CAIR-Chicago was a hesitancy among the community in coming forward with their cases.
Our Civil Rights Department is run by 4 very able women. Together they form an incredibly formidable team. Christina Abraham leads the group. She's the Civil Rights Coordinator in charge of that department.
We are the only organization that deals with the problems facing the Muslim community on a case-by-case basis, at an individual level.
We need a community that believes in the fact that they deserve the rights that they fight for. We need them to be confident in who they are, and we need them to understand that we're here on their side.
Being a Muslim, I have kids, and for me not to fight this battle, and with CAIR on my side, how I felt it was going to be hard to face my kid and say, Dad, you're Arab, you're a Muslim, you need to stand up for your rights and what you believe.
Carrying his 8-year-old son on his shoulders, Mohammed Salah reacts to a not guilty verdict of aiding and funding a terrorist organization.
I have to thank my community and the larger community. I have to thank everybody who has helped me.
Although we are happy that Mohammed Salah has been acquitted by a jury of his peers on the major charge of racketeering, we must still voice concern over the infringement of many of his basic rights throughout his trial.
As an attorney at CAIR-Chicago, I think it's amazing the amount of impact you can have on an individual's life. When you are working on a case, especially if it's employment, next to family, your job is the most important thing to you.
I've been kind of coordinating between these employees that are subject to discrimination and CAIR as well. So I was kind of really impressed. You know, I wasn't really thinking that CAIR would be able to come forward and you know, maybe they were only concerned with Muslim community, but you know, all these employees are actually non-Muslims.
I definitely feel that advocating on behalf of non-Muslims does form a great relationship between Muslims and non-Muslims. I mean, they see that Muslims aren't just in it for themselves; they're just not advocating for Muslim rights, but for, you know, civil rights in general.
I had an issue with this delay because I did my interview and I stayed for almost 2 years without getting my citizenship.
Many Muslim male Arab and South Asian individuals are facing long times in terms of waiting for their citizenship as opposed to other demographics. There's absolutely no reason in the documentation, in the papers, for them to be waiting for so long. As things presently stand, we were able to get the citizenship for 6 out of the 11 individuals in the class that we're filing for.
Hina, you know, took the issue, you know, professionally and responsibly, and eventually, you know, I got my citizenship.
ABC 7 News at 4 continues.
The Muslim community in the United States of America is proud to be American as it is proud to be Muslim, and we recognize a responsibility in working with governmental agencies in making this country safe and secure for all.
Byron Harlan talked to some Pakistani Americans here about the arrests and whether they might contribute to a phobia about Islam.
Many of the others who came to prayers also heard President Bush use the term Islamic fascists about some. It was highly offensive to many.
Clearly, the comments suggest that Islam intrinsically has terrorist elements or has an inside track to terrorists.
Much of the understanding of the average American vis-a-vis Muslims and Islam is shaped by the media, by mainstream media. And so we feel that it is very important that as an organization representing Muslims in Chicago, that we reach out proactively to the various media mainstream sources here.
The primary mission of the CAIR-Chicago Communications Department is to portray the perspective of Muslims. In Chicago this past summer, a major issue that sat on the hearts of Muslims was the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. Many Muslims in Chicago are of Lebanese descent, which is why CAIR-Chicago took special care with this issue. We engaged in coalition building, we made press statements, and helped mobilize many of the organizations for a major rally in downtown Chicago.
The Chicago Council on American Islamic Relations held a news conference. Leaders expressed their concern for the people of Lebanon and called on the U.S. government to do more to help.
Lebanon is the Arab world's most diverse, cosmopolitan, democratic, and friendly country to America. We ask the U.S. government to provide the Lebanese people with the necessary humanitarian aid.
As far as our government affairs program, we seek to build relationships with our elected officials to inform them about the issues that matter to us and to try to be a part of that democratic process through the legal channels.
The goal of the department is actually to help the Muslim community have a proactive agenda when it comes to public policy, when it comes to legislation, when it comes to them being participants in government.
It's possible for one citizen to change the course of something much greater. And one person can make a difference, and one person can participate in the process when they didn't think they could before.
The Outreach Department connects people of different faiths. It connects people of different ethnicities, and that is done by dialogue, basically through churches, synagogues, cultural centers, universities, where we educate people on what Islam really is.
Coalition building is one of the cornerstones of the work that we do, and so we seek to classify different organizations based on their areas of work and then seek to create powerful relationships with them, working relationships.
What I've learned here at CAIR-Chicago as an intern, particularly as a sensitivity training coordinator, has been the importance of understanding of how to communicate to someone who may resist what you're saying, because they're being bombarded with all these negative stereotypes by instantly looking at me with the hijab and so forth.
I don't see this as an extra activity. I don't see this as something I'm doing on the side to help people. I see this as an obligation, just like my salah is an obligation, just like I fast is an obligation. So as far as balancing out, we're told that we balance 1/3 of our time for family, 1/3 of our time for work, and 1/3 of our time for Allah. And this is part of that 1/3 of the time for Allah.
I have supported CAIR since the first time I became acquainted with CAIR. And I was so happy to know that such an organization had been established to represent Muslims and their legal rights And we all will have occasion, I'm sure, organizations that is, will have occasion to call on them for their service.
CAIR-Chicago has made tremendous strides in advocating for those Muslims as well as non-Muslims who've suffered from injustices.
There's no better organization that I know in this area than CAIR-Chicago in focusing on the leadership potential of young people and nurturing them to be leaders of not just the Muslim community, but of the city and the nation and the world in ways that build bridges across some of the most unbridgeable divides.
Side by side, we fought the battle, we beat them, we were happy. I was happy for CAIR representing me, and I hate to say this, I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen again, but I'll accept the challenge with CAIR by my side to fight again. And I encourage everybody to stand up for what they believe in.